spent my first 15 years trying to get out of the woods because I thought it was horrible. And I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. The truth of the matter is we need to be well-rounded individuals like our forefathers were.
What's happening, everybody out there in FB and YT land? This is T with Mountain Readiness. We are back again with another Monday live stream. Thanks all y'all for taking the time out of your busy days to come hang out with us. And let me just say thank you as well to all of our speakers, our special guests that are here tonight. And of course, you, the audience, you guys in the audience is what makes this happen. Guys, please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all those things, ring the bell. Make the algorithm gods happy so that we can push this out to as many people as we possibly can, because we definitely need the help, all the help we can get when it comes to speaking truth. So tonight's a little bit different for Mountain Readiness. We've tried to stay neutral on politics for the most, and focus on self-reliance, right, and bringing people together of like minds and learning from one another. But given the circumstances of this past week, what a travesty. We need to talk about this a little bit more and delve into it. And that's why it's awesome that we have three special guests that are with us tonight who were actually there, right up close and personal. These three individuals, I'll be bringing them on here in a little bit, but let me just say, Mountain Readiness was started by my wife, Amber, and I, just for the purpose of bringing people together to learn from each other. And but when something of this magnitude happens, guys, I don't care what side of the political fence that you were on, Republican, Democrat, Trump, Biden, this affects all of us on a huge level. I mean, it really does, guys. In this day and age, this is only going to get worse. When we cannot exercise our rights, our freedoms to join together and be there for whoever it is in the political realm that we are going to support, and then an American citizen loses their life on top of it. I don't care what side of the realm that you are on. This cannot happen in good old US of A, but here we are with this going on. So let's dive into this, guys. I'm going to bring in our Mountain Readiness experts and guests. Of course, my co-host, and he's very well known, Mr. Joe Ted-Eye from Dual Survival, Spartan Americana, guys. Joe, thanks for being with me tonight, brother.
My honor, sir.
Absolutely, guys. And then second, a good friend of mine, close friend of mine. There's a lot of friends here, which is Chris Weatherman. Chris, the AKA the Angry American. You can catch Chris at angryamerican.com. That's Angery. You can't forget the E.
And the right way.
Of course, Wednesday nights on live, we have him as well. Joe, of course, I want to throw him out there too. Spartan Americana. If you want anything for the training side of stuff, get on Spartan Americana with Joe. Let me bring on also Randy Martin and Sue Larreau. Randy and Sue, of course, Randy Martin from Troy's Gate Training, right over here in North Carolina, and Sue Larreau from Tactical Rifleman. These two gentlemen are old school war fighters. Randy, 40 years in the business. Sue, I don't know how many years Sue's been into it. A long time. But thank you guys for being a part of this as well. It's going to be like Hollywood Squares for a little bit, guys, bouncing back and forth. Bear with us, but there's a lot of information to cover. And of course, we've got Brian Duff from Mind for Survival. Brian, thanks for being a part of this, brother. And guys, that's Mind, the number 4 for Survival. And I wanted to throw this out there too. Is Brian, Army Ranger, numerous security details? You were actually on the security detail when Biden was a senator. Is that correct? Did I read that correct?
I covered him when he went to Iraq for the elections.
Gotcha. Small world. But thank you, Brian, for being on here. Look forward to hearing what you've got to say and input on all of this. And we also have Brian Loftus. Brian is with Survival Gear BSO. Brian is my go-to gear guy, an affiliate of ours, part of the Mountain Readiness Community. And of course, Brian in the civilian realm has done extensive training, survival training. He's done some pretty crazy stuff in his day as well. So, guys, let's get into it. Y'all, welcome to the live. We are going to bring on our guests who were there at this Trump rally last weekend, the weekend before last, and I want to just get their input on what happened there, because there is all kinds of stuff out there on the internet. It's, we can dive down the rabbit hole of all the stuff with there's shooters on towers, there's people here, AI generated, it never happened. These are 3 Americans that were there at this rally, and fortunately they are kind of part of the Mountain Readiness community as well. Through Brian with Survival Gear BSO, one of his employees, and of course the other 2, they all kind of know each other, and we have the opportunity to bring them on and hear their side of the story. So first, let's bring up our special guest, Zach Scherer. And Zach, welcome to Mountain Readiness Mondays, brother.
Yeah, thanks.
For sure. Now, political activist. You were on the Butley County Commissioner last year for you didn't win, but you were on the ballot.
Right.
Then, am I seeing this? You have been over 20 Trump rallies. Is that correct?
Yep, across the country.
That is awesome, brother. That is awesome. And of course, you were, from the pictures that I saw, you were right there up front, close and personal to the stage with Trump, were you not?
Yeah, three rows from Trump's left shoulder. Yeah.
Good grief. Now, I want to, it's going to cover our face a little bit here, guys, but I'm going to show you some pictures of how close Zach was to all this that he sent us. And I'm not good with technology. Everybody knows me that I'm not that guy. So this is going to cover us up. Of course, here's Zach on the news right thereafter. This here, man, that blows my mind. I mean, you're right there. You're right there next to him. And of course, that picture has been all over the place on the internet and news. And right there's Trump speaking, and then this here, everybody shielding him and trying to get him off the stage. Zach, give me in your own words what happened. What did you hear? What did you see? What happened here?
Well, it was all a good time. It seemed like your typical political rally you would attend. Trump came out late as always, of course. About 6 or 7 minutes into the speech, from what I heard, it sounded like a crack in the speaker or a firecracker. I'm like, who in the hell in the right mind would bring a firecracker to a political rally? And it was a couple second delay between the first shot and the second shot, and that second shot hit, and you just saw Trump go for his right ear, and it instantly went to the ground, and then it was just pow 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 pow. And I was like, oh my God, that's gunfire. And I dunked to the ground, because I was not in the bleachers. I was in the chairs, and my dad kind of stood there. I grabbed him and got him on top of me. We started praying to God that we weren't going to get hit next.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Wow. Guys, I mean, thank you for coming on here and sharing this with us, because this was, I was actually sitting on the couch on the computer and watching this live. And it was the same for me. I heard a pop and I was like, what in the world was that? It was a strange sounding pop too. It was muffled.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, I'm like, man, did somebody just take a shot at Donald Trump? And sure enough, what did you see for security at this place? Because we hear everything in the media about light security and they requested more security, and of course everyone's saying that it was everything that they asked for they were given. But what in your opinion did the security look like at this event?
So I want to take you back a day to Friday, the 12th, the day before the event. I actually went to the farm show grounds at 5 p.m. Eastern time here, and volunteered to help with the setup of this rally, which that consisted of, putting the bicycle, barriers up, and also setting up what they call the Disney portion of the rally, which is the stage, the bleachers, the main setup where the media can see. And when I got there at 5 o'clock, I was able to drive right through the fence, was never searched, was never asked for credentials, and parked 5 feet from the stage. And that was the first concern I had, that I actually expressed to the person running the volunteers. I'm like, I just drove right in here. I wasn't searched. I could have been a person I wasn't even claiming to be, and plotted things inside this venue. And it was absurd. I mean, over all the rallies I've been to, I've never seen anything like this. And as far as Saturday goes, I mean, there was a lack of security everywhere. I don't think I saw a single law enforcement officer until I got inside the gates. There was thousands of people waiting to get through the metal detectors, and you didn't see anybody. And unless they were where the metal detectors actually were, is where the Secret Service officers were at. And I mean, I didn't see security at all.
Well, how does this differ? I mean, with over 20 rallies that you've been to at Trump, how different was this from those? Because I'm going to assume that you got screened pretty hard getting into these other rallies.
Yeah, so that process was pretty much the same. You empty your pockets, take your hat off, go through those metal detectors. If you blink somewhere, then you're wanted. This was actually the first time I didn't blink and have to be wanted, so I thought that was kind of weird. But as far as the other rallies, one thing that sticks out a lot for this rally was the venue. First of all, this venue was a lot more open. There was a lot more, area per se on the exterior side of the perimeter compared to any other rally I've been to. The Butler Airport was where he was at back in 2020 when he came here, and that place was 3 times secure. There were canine units at that rally. Our local Butler Sheriff's Office was at that rally providing protection detail as well. And they were actually not at this rally. The only local law enforcement we had at the rally last Saturday would be the Butler Township Police and our state police from Troop D here in Butler.
Man, that is insane. Did you actually hear anyone yelling in the background with the people that were pointing up to the roof? Did you witness any of that as well with where you were at on the stage?
No, I was pretty far from where those individuals were. The only yelling I heard was from directly behind in the bleachers where the 2 individuals were shot that were injured. And we didn't hear really any commotion until after they had President Trump off the stage. Then you just heard screaming and, we need medics. And I happened to look back, and there's 2 individuals laying on the bleachers that happened to be shot.
Man, that is just, I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine what was going through yours and everyone else's minds at that time. I mean, it had to have been surreal, like a dream. Because I thought I was imagining it when I was watching it on television, much less right there in front of my face. But it is, Zach, I really appreciate you coming on here. We've got a lot to cover tonight. Is there anything else that you want to add to this before we jump to the next person? And guys, remember, if you have a question, you guys put put the name of who the question is directed to. Russ is in the background, and a big thanks to Russ for moderating and mediating right here because man, I suck at buttons and bells and whistles, and I can tell you, with as many of us that is on here, this would have been a complete train wreck without Russ. So thanks, Russ. If you have a question, throw their name in the comments. And as we move along, we're going to direct these questions to the people as we pull them up and star them. But do you have anything closing out for right now, Zach?
Other than, I grew up in Butler. I've lived here 21 years, and everybody just needs to keep our community in their thoughts and prayers, because there's a lot of people struggling in these in our town right now. They have counselors here for the next couple of weeks readily available, and everybody grieves differently. Everybody handles situations like that differently, and if you need help, reach out.
Yeah. And Zach, I mean, if you want to answer that, she said, Emily, there is how did people around you react? I mean, was everybody just the same, freaking out, dropping to the ground?
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody directly around me pretty much dropped. But towards the back of the crowd where there was standing room only, I did notice a lot of people were just so confused because they couldn't see the stage, and at that time the big screens did not have Trump speaking, so they had no idea what was going on until people started yelling that was gunfire, and then you saw chaos erupt where people were running and different things.
Wow. So, I can't even imagine. Zach, thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate you. And I'm sure as time goes on, we'd love to have you come back on to lives again. And with Chris, we've got a lot of people on here who have lives and podcasts. We want to keep getting this message out to people, let them know what actually happened and transpired here at this rally. But thank you very much, sir. And we're going to jump on to the next here. Our next special guest is going to be Michael Pampena. And did I say that right, Michael?
Close. Pampena.
Pampena. See, I told you I was going to mess it up. It was going to give, and I was going to mess this up. But Michael is, in a roundabout way, part of our Mountain Readiness Community. Michael works. He is the director of operations for Survival Gear BSO, which, of course, Brian Loftus, who's with us tonight, that is his gear company. And you have worked with Brian for a few years now. How long have you been with Brian, Michael?
For just over 3 years now. I've been his director of operations, fulfilling orders, handling emails, pretty much everything that comes our way. It's us too, and handling every task that comes our way.
Hey, you guys do a phenomenal job. And guys, if you want some great prices, great gear, and most importantly in this day and age, we live in this age of you get somebody in another country when you call and you're trying to get information on a product or something, or you just don't get a human being at all. When people get in touch with Survival Gear BSO, they are literally talking to you or Brian when they have a question for you guys. So I think that's phenomenal, and that's why we promote Survival Gear BSO, is because it's not only just great prices and service and product, it's service, and that's huge in this day and age. It's just almost non-existent anymore. So thank you for being real human beings when I call and I have a question, Michael.
Our privilege.
Absolutely. So you were off to the side of the stage, and basically I want to get your input of what you saw, what you heard, what was going on around you. So go ahead, just throw out there what you had going on as this all unfolded.
Okay, I'll start from when we pulled in the parking lot. I live about 15-20 minutes away in Butler County. I lived here for about 4 years. So we were at the Trump rally, as Zach told you guys about, at the Butler Airport in 2020. I think it was the biggest event in the world at the time, because it was right when COVID hit. So besides the Super Bowl, it was the biggest event, I think, in the world, right there, 15 minutes away. So, of course, I had to go to this one whenever I heard it was coming back to Butler. We knew he was coming back. Butler's his hot spot. He loves coming to Butler. So I'm excited to see him again. I'm sure he'll be back. So we drove up, short little drive, brought a cooler full of, cold beverages with us, pulled into the big field. parking was a breeze. They pulled us right in. We hopped out, started tailgating a little bit. And then around 1:30 or so, we had started going in. You know, it was a fair atmosphere. Like we have a big fair in Butler County called the Big Butler Fair. There's concession stands and people selling clothes, hats, the Trump towel, like terrible towel. It's, you know, it was a big family. It was like family friendly atmosphere walking in there. A bunch of vendors. And then we got to the line. The line was pretty long. I would say we waited an hour and a half to get in, and it was a very hot day, maybe 90 degrees. And as soon as we got in line, there was medics being called maybe every 10, 15 minutes because people just couldn't handle the heat that day. They didn't really know what they were in store for. You know, you're out there for a long time when you go to a Trump rally.
So you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in this line. They're dropping out from heat stroke.
Yeah, you know, the heavier people, the more elderly people, the people that don't normally stay out in the sun that long on a normal day. Yeah, there was medics being called every so often. That's just in the line to get in. So yeah, it was a hot day.
Now, was it the same for you going through as you were going in? Did they have you empty your pockets and do all that stuff as well? Did that actually happen?
Yeah, so whenever I finally got to the metal detectors, I did see a Secret Service agent and some other police. I didn't have to take my hat off. I had to empty my pockets. Got right in, no problems. I didn't see anybody getting stopped for anything. And then we went straight to the porta potties. They were busy. And then this was around maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock. Everybody was just walking around, you know, fair atmosphere, you know, getting food, getting drinks. They were handing out free bottled water left and right because, again, it was a hot day. Some people started standing around the stage, like where they could stand to get, you know, a good spot. But a lot of people were still just meandering around, you know, talking. It was a big MAGA fest, you know, talking to your fellow patriots. So it was around maybe 3:30. They started having some people, some politicians talk. Some local people, I don't remember exactly who it was. But then we stood in line to get some food and started creeping up closer to 5 o'clock when Trump was supposed to be on. Maybe it was like 3:45. So I said, screw the food. Let's head closer to the stage to try to get a good spot, you know? And that's where I ended up at the spot I was at and stayed there until Trump came on. So I didn't move from that spot from around 3:45 till 6 when he came on.
And where was that? That was actually kind of to the left of Trump of the stage. Is that where you were at?
Yeah, so there was 3 bleachers behind him, left, middle, and right. I was closer to the right bleacher set. If you've seen the videos online of when the shots rang out and there was like liquid spewing from a crane or a tractor, there's videos out there of that. I didn't even see that live. But whenever I went online after the fact, I was right by that. So, so center right of the stage.
All right. Now take us through that. I mean, you're right there at the stage. We hear a shot. And then, you know, of course, your reaction is going to be, what was that? What were, you know, give us your take on everything that went down in those few seconds.
Well, once Trump finally came on, he was supposed to be on at 5. He came on at 6. Everybody was, you know, sun blaring down on him. Some people around me actually started to leave. They were tired of waiting. Not many, some. But, you know, I've waited there that long. I wasn't leaving, especially for Trump. So he finally came on at 6. And after an hour of random music videos, just music I never even heard of. People were starting to get a little impatient. But so whenever he put that graph up on the screen, he was talking about the illegal immigration and what it was like whenever he was president and now what it is now. And it's a huge difference. And I was kind of daydreaming a little bit because it felt like school. You know, I heard this a million times. You know, I just was happy to see Trump. He finally came on. So I was kind of daydreaming a little bit, and then all of a sudden, to the right of me, not where the gunshots the shooter shot from, but from the right of me. I heard gunshots. I didn't know what they were at first. I didn't think they were gunshots. I didn't think they were fireworks. I just heard a noise, popping noise, and I saw smoke. So at first I was like, what the hell is that? And then I saw Trump go down, and then everybody around me went down. So some, like, I would say half the people stood there maybe in shock, like, just what the hell is going on? And then half the people hit the ground. I hit the ground. The person I was with, I think he thought we were going to die that day. We were kind of just like, what in the world is going on? Like, this is not happening right now.
I imagine that's just, I mean, I can't stress enough what you guys encountered there, and what had to been going through your mind at that point with knowing, once Trump goes down, that, hey, that really was a gunshot. That's just, man, that is crazy. I wanted to bring up some pictures too that you sent me, Michael, and I tell you, something that we don't get a lot of on the mainstream media is pictures of the crowd. They refuse to show what kind of crowds come to these things. And I'm going to throw some of these pictures up here. There's, of course, Trump up there. I mean, that thing is loaded down with people. Of course, Trump up on the stage. And this picture here, I really liked. Look at that. I mean, as far as you can see, that is people out there in that crowd. That's an awesome picture. Thanks for sharing those with us. Thanks for sharing your story, Michael. And I really appreciate you taking the time and having the courage to come forward and tell what you encountered here. Because I know in this day and age, man, there is a lot of people who, you get on the media, they're excited and they're sad that Trump didn't actually get shot and killed. They're actually voicing their opinions on, how bad it was that they missed. And it blows my mind in this day and age. I don't care who you voted for. In America, that's not right. This is a horrible thing. I don't care who was up on that stage. This was a slap in the face to the freedoms that we have. People, and then of course an American dies, in the crowd there as well. It blows my mind. Michael, how close was the smoke, or where you think the other shooter was from you? Let's just throw us what you got there, because I'm interested. I've not heard anything of that. As far as what you're saying with the, you said it was like water or something like that, like bullets that hit something.
I guess some of the shots from the roof that the shooter was on hit a hydraulic truck, or I'm not really sure what it was, some kind of machinery, and liquid started shooting out of it. I didn't even know that happened until I saw a video online after the fact.
And that was how close to you?
I would say that was probably 50 to 75 feet away from me.
Which is, anything is too close when it comes to bullets whizzing by your head. I mean, no doubt about it.
I mean, when it first happened, I was like, oh my God, I could have died. But very soon I told myself, it's not about me. Nothing about what happened was about me. It's about, Trump and those people that got shot, and I was simply there, So nothing about that day was about me.
Well, we're just glad that you guys are okay. Unfortunately, one individual was not, and he's left a wife and 2 daughters now because of it. But we are glad that you came on with us, Michael. And of course, I look forward to working with you and Brian with Survival Gear. Anything you want to close out with? Are you good?
I just want to say that with all the videos and pictures going on online, especially a week after the fact, it's so hard to distinguish between real and fake. So it's real easy to see something and say, oh my God, look,
yes,
there's a video of it. It must be real. I'm willing to guess the majority of it, most of it is probably fake. So whenever you're making your best judgment about what happened, maybe don't believe it right at first, maybe do some research about the validity of it, where it came from, because if we believe everything we see out there, then we're going to be in a bad spot.
100%, 100%. Michael, did anybody interview you after this incident?
Nope. Nobody interviewed me.
Nothing. Man.
Yep.
Well, we're glad that you came on here to tell your story, because with the world of AI, like we said, and all the fake stuff that's out there, all the doctored stuff that goes onto the internet, it's good to actually have a real life person here telling what they saw at this event. So again, Michael, thank you. We look forward to working with you in the future, and I'm sure we'll have you back on before it's all said and done.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you, Keith.
All right. Thanks, guys. So, and last, our third special guest is Michele Beck. Michelle's room for her live stream looks better than mine. I'm kind of envious. I'm not going to lie. Michele, welcome to the Mountain Readiness live stream. Thanks for being a part of this.
Thank you.
You bet. And then, and guys, Michele was a medic that was at this, and 10 years in the medical field, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Asset protection ops manager, volunteer firefighter. I mean, you've worked a lot of this kind of, not like this, of course, but you've worked big events like this, I'm going to assume.
Mm-hmm. Throughout my career, there's been all different types of standbys and events and things like that. But nothing to this huge magnitude. So,
right.
We walked into this knowing that we were undermanned, understaffed, and we knew that from the stats that we had gotten from the Virginia rally, that there was a lot of heat related. We knew it was going to be 90 degrees that day. So I will tell you right now that the emergency medicine and the emergency medical community here in Butler County has not gotten enough credit for everything they did that day. Everybody
Absolutely.
came together. We had cooling tents. We had doctors on scene. We had one trailer that was like a small hospital. People were able to go into the cooling tents, have IVs started on them, be monitored. At the end of the day, we had pulled 251 heat-related emergencies out of the crowd and only had to send 6 to the hospital.
Wow.
There was 2 gunshot victims treated. They were stabilized on scene by a doctor and flown to a level 1 trauma center in Pittsburgh. So the whole community came together, volunteer fire departments. Most of these people were volunteers. Some of them were paid, but it was amazing. And basically our day consisted of just pulling people out of the crowd, trying to get them walking, getting them up to the cooling tents, getting them to the hospital and things like that.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, you guys pulled out over 250 folks
51,
for heat related, not including all the craziness of the aftermath of the attempt on Donald Trump. Right.
Exactly. So once Trump came in, first of all, the whole day was just like full body contact EMS. Getting even through the crowd to get to somebody who was down was almost impossible. You basically had to be very forceful with the crowd. You had to really push people out of the way, things like that. I was partnering with another woman, and we just, we had to go in there like bulls in a china shop just to get to people. A lot of times some of the crowd was really great, but we'd no sooner get one back up to the cooling tent where, bam, we were going right back down again. So, but when Trump's motorcade got there, everybody knew. And so they didn't care how sick they were. They were not leaving. They weren't going anywhere. They didn't want to lose their seat. They didn't want to not be there. And it was kind of funny because during the day, we had looked over to the left where the ARG buildings were, and that's the roof. That's the building where the roof was that the shooter was on. And we had noticed that people were gathering over there, bringing lawn chairs. And we'd even said, isn't that kind of strange that they're letting people over there gather, outside of that fence? It just seemed like just strange that there was that wasn't being monitored. But I can tell you, at one point, one of our UTVs got caught in the crowd, and when I lifted the bicycle fence up to get him out of nowhere, vaporized 3 tactical guys. What are you doing?
Wow.
Right. So they came out of nowhere, but over there, all those people were gathering over on that ARG side. And as I said before, when we were talking before the show started, when we got there, we were told we were all going to be searched. And we pulled in fire engine, 2 SUVs, and a UTV. Not any of us searched, not any vehicle searched, nothing. Now, I'm sure we were all vetted because they had our names and things like that. But still, I would still think that even before you would go in there, they would at least have wanted us, but they didn't.
Well, you would think with the vehicles as well that they would be checking undercarriage in case somebody else had decided to put something, a device or something underneath that vehicle. I mean, I can't believe that thing just rolled in and they didn't even flag it and run a mirror underneath it.
Yeah. We were all really surprised because we wanted to take like sunscreen in, and some of us had vape pens we wanted to take in, and we didn't, couldn't bring those in. And then we were like, we didn't get searched. We could have brought anything in we wanted. But as the day went on, and then when Trump got there and people knew he was coming on stage, everybody just kind of calmed down. And then just this really nice hush came over the crowd. Like, we were able to all stop and just catch our breath. And we were standing. So to get our perspective, the stage was in front, the stage was cleared down. And then we were looking down over everything. And so we were kind of up on the top of a hill, and everything kind of dipped down. So we could see down over the crowd, and we could see the stage, and we could see the TVs. And we were all standing there, and we were listening to him speak. And the next thing we know, we hear a sound that sounds like somebody just set off a pack of firecrackers. And everybody's thought was the same thing. Who is the idiot setting these off? And then also, too, there was the thought, well, was this something to go with his speech? Because he was talking about the immigration. He had the immigration stuff up on the screen. And was this something that they had planned for his speech? And then the next thing we knew, we knew it wasn't firecrackers anymore. It was rapid gunfire. And people were running and screaming from that fence line. So they would be coming from my left, coming towards us. So at that point, we had no idea where the shots were coming from. We didn't know if it was coming towards us or where it was going. And I had one lady come up behind me, grab me by the shirt, and stand behind me like I was her human shield. And I turned around and I said, ma'am, I need you to go to your car, calmly go to your car, go home.
Wow.
So then all the shooting stopped. And then everybody just stopped. And everybody's wondering why nobody stampeded. Well, that was because when the shooting stopped, everybody just figured it was over with. And then they announced that they were evacuating. And they no sooner announced that they were evacuating. And then we heard over the radio, medics needed down at the stage. And so we all just jumped in our UTVs. It was just kind of like that, all hands on deck.
Yes.
So the first person I came to was the gentleman who was shot in the chest. And he was being tended to by an amazing medic who works out of the AHN system. So basically, we were there, just me and fire chief from another service were there. We were just lending support. When you've got that kind of patient care going on, it's never too bad to have an extra set of hands just in case, So
Absolutely.
They got, what's that?
I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing what you guys did out there.
So we got them loaded up, and the LZ was set up right behind the red barn where the sniper had been. And so we immediately had our assistant fire chief immediately had called for 4 helicopters be on standby, I think 6 or 4. And we immediately landed 2 helicopters for those 2 patients. So the abdominal wound and the chest wound were immediately stabilized by a doctor on scene and put in the helicopters. But after that, we looked over and we saw 3 ladies sitting alongside of the barn, and there was a Secret Service uniform division officer over there. And we all kind of said, well, what's going on over there? So we walked over, and it was the gentleman who had been shot in the head and killed. Corey Comparator's family was over there. And we immediately took to taking care of them, checking them. They were basically in a state of shock, taking their blood pressures, checking, doing a secondary survey on them, making sure that they weren't injured, because at that time, if they were injured, they would have never felt it with the state of shock they were in. So the rest of my time was spent with them until they decided to move them. But I have to tell you, I was a small part in a very big cog, and the amount of medics that were there and doctors and incredible people, that day could have been way worse had there not been more. And also, too, I wanted to mention that. So when we got down to the gentleman with the gunshot to his chest, at one point I turned around, and there was probably about 8 SRT guys behind me that weren't just standing there doing nothing. They were actually on guard, because at some point, I do believe that they weren't sure if there wasn't an additional shooter. So they were actually guarding us as we were taking care of the patient, and then they slowly dispersed. But then after that, we were all put on lockdown, and we were told that we couldn't leave. So we were put on lockdown until about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and then we were released to go. So it was.
Were you actually questioned or anything as well? You did. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, yesterday and today, I was questioned by the FBI. I was originally supposed to be with Zach's party because we were on a VIP list. But then the fire department said, we don't have enough people. And that's where I felt I needed to be. But these people that say it was fake, no, it wasn't. The blood was very real, and the carnage was very real.
Thank you once again, Michele, all you guys, for coming on here. I know, especially when you're getting questioned and all this kind of stuff going on, man, I can't imagine just, but you and your team and all the emergency personnel that work there, given the circumstances, you guys did an amazing job. And thank you for, like you said, it could have been a ton worse between the amount of people that we saw in those pictures of Michael's and Zach's. Who knows what could have happened, especially if everybody lost their mind and started running out of that place. I mean, that could have been just it could have been way worse, as you said. First Sergeant Linus, Blanket Michele, he says, Michele, how many folks did you see run to the aid of those that went down?
Everybody ran. There wasn't. We were all up at the medical tents, and there wasn't one person that didn't go. I mean, we all ran. And the other thing that was a concern were people going to stampede and trample each other. And at one point, there was a concern because people had toddlers there, right, and the small children and things like that. And I think there were a few people that they treated for injuries, like they fell down when they were running and they had some cuts and things like that. But yeah, everybody ran. There wasn't a person that didn't run. So yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Michele, once again, and then let's see, you were a big help. How many medical personnel was on staff? You mentioned that you were shorthanded as well. You guys were shorthanded as well.
Right. So we started out the day very undermanned. But as the day went on, more volunteer departments showed up, more paid medics showed up, more ambulances showed up. Everybody showed up, and you really felt that because, like I said, you no sooner got one up to the tents, you were going back down, and somebody else was getting one. And the original plan was to get them to just walk out of the crowd and get them to a golf cart or a UTV and give them right up there. Some people were so down, there was no getting them up and walking them. So yes. It was crazy.
Well, Michele, thank you for your amazing story and the work that you and your team did. I can't thank you enough. You guys are awesome. You are true heroes. It's just doing your job. My wife, of course, was LEO for many years and prior military, and she says I was just doing my job. But at the end of the day, you doing your job is what saved lives, because that's what you guys did. So stick around. I'm sure people will have questions for you. We would love to get you back on here again in the future. I'm sure some of these other guys that are on our Mountain Readiness panel here would love to get you on as well. But thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. And God bless. I appreciate you a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, we are going to bring Randy Martin and Seaux Larreau on here. These two war fighters, these guys are they're pretty good at what they do. They've been around forever. I mean, even the invention of the wheel, actually, I think you've got the invention of the wheel, Seaux. Is that how it's been?
Well, the wheel was around since the invention of flintlock rifles. How's that? Yeah.
Good enough. Hey, but guys, look, if you're not familiar with these guys, check them out. Randy Martin, the founder of Troy's Gate, and 40 years. It's been 40 years you've been in law enforcement and this type of stuff. Correct, Randy?
Yes.
There's not a lot about Randy. We're trying to get the word out there because training is of the utmost importance. Training, mental preparedness. You know, you could be as tough as nails, but if you don't have that mental side, that fortitude to ride you through these storms, and I'm unfortunately, I'm afraid there's going to be some real doozies coming ahead of us in this year and the years to come. But check Troy's Gate out, and of course, Seaux Larreau, the infamous Seaux of Tactical Rifleman. Seaux has been there, done it, made the T-shirt. He invented the T-shirt. These guys have seen it and done it for years. But Randy, let's get started into your observations, your professional opinions about how this went down with the Secret Service and all the craziness we saw in that video. Russ, you want to throw that video up there of the Secret Service when they're getting Trump out of there?
So as you see, the Secret Service is removing Trump, and you'll see an agent that will draw her gun from her holster and then try to put it back into her holster. And then, of course, the media is just really ripping those guys apart. A lot of stuff going on here with her, what she heard, the movement, the action, all the stuff that's going down. And really, she's just in an area that she's never been before. So if you pull up our PowerPoint, and I'm going to go through that briefly because I know time is of the essence here. So click it. Right here is just a quick saying. What we do, our company, what we specialize in is all daily situations. That's all we deal with. So we look at the human behavior side, dealing with daily situations. Click it. Click it again. So that mind, when it goes into battle or it gets startled and gets into some bad stuff, it does some crazy stuff. And we'll show you some videos of that here shortly. Click. Click. So what we do is the neuropsychology of behaviors in deadly conflict. So I developed a system that will put you in actual deadly conflict in real time. So there's real bullets, real situations, real stuff going on in play. Click. So now let's get into that logical thinking brain. So right now the audience and everybody's listening is logical. There's nothing to be afraid of. We can handle about anything because our brain is thinking normal. So let's click. Now we go into that survival brain, and that is activated by actions of other humans or animals or somebody trying to kill us or an animal trying to kill us. Where we're going to run, we're going to hide, we're going to fight. If we have a gun, we may shoot. We may go into shutdown and just stand there frozen, or we could have a panic attack and just shut down. And those actions, whether they're real or perceived danger, that brain will react on its own. And then with the next part of the brain will be the part of the next click. So the killing brain is what we're really focused in. So if we get an officer involved or we get a killer involved trying to killing humans, and that killing brain's activated, a lot of stuff going on here. Click again. And this will be the final slide. to be good at something, you have to do it over and over again. And their specialty is getting the agents, getting our war fighters, getting everybody exposed to reality before they actually go into battle. And then to expose them to battle, so when shots are fired, that logical brain is still working, so they're able to engage or holster their weapon when it's over with. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of adrenaline dump happening. So let's play the next video.
Absolutely. Well, hold up before we throw that video up there, Randy. Just real fast, tell us about. Just give us a short brief of Troy's Gate, who you actually train, what you do, just a summary, because there's a lot of people out. We've got quite a few people viewing tonight who I'm sure have never ever even heard of you. The majority of it. Give them just a.
I'm going to jump in real quick, T. I've known Randy for 10 years now. It's during my acquisitions career when I was looking for better weapons, better training, better ammunition, and that thing for the United States Special Operations Command. I ran into Randy, and he uses live role players here in Lenore, North Carolina, to basically create a reflective target, if you will. So when you go into one of his scenarios that he runs, and he's got several scenarios, or he can build the scenarios that the customer wants, these role players are yelling at you, screaming at you, creating all kinds of situations, whether it's a vehicle stop or a vehicle checkpoint, or in my case, a domestic violence situation, or a sniper. I did a sniper one. I didn't meet him until I was close to 50 years old. I'd already killed 36 people in several combat skirmishes or major battles, right? And just going into these scenarios and knowing that live rounds were in my pistol or live rounds in the chamber of the sniper rifle I was using, that took the effect of sim training or blanks or, hey, we're going to train realistically as we can without live fire. That took it, that got put in your head. So you knew when you pulled that trigger, live rounds were going down range. And this being a reflective target, like he says, it affects your neuropsychology. It has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with marksmanship or with, are you making the right moves? Are you doing the 1, 2, 3, or the things that we trained in up to that point, to what we call the moment of truth, or have you done all the training correctly? What Randy Martin, Troy's Gate, and his role players do is show you where neuropsychology takes over, and there's situations where your brain will shut down your body. Even with my experience, when I left that afternoon or that evening, driving back, it was like, coming off a high from a skydive or something. My hands started shaking and everything. And in my mind, I was convinced that I had actually killed people that day. So this Troy's Gate is something that we're trying, for the last 10 years, we've been trying to get not only more special operations guys, but we think that all law enforcement and military should at least be exposed to this, so you can control, even it's not a pass or fail thing. What we're trying to do is teach you how to control your emotions if you're in a live fire situation, right? And how to override your emotions until the situation is dealt with. Yes. We're not talking about the survey teams of the Secret Service that went to Butler the week before or 5 days before. We're not talking about the evacuation off of the stage, right? Well, we are, but a lot of people, especially that executive team around the president, they're being criticized for making moves or keeping them on the X too long and things like that. And as Michael pointed out, there's things that we in the public don't know, right? Like that hydraulic leak when it was hit on the boom truck there holding up the flag. Now, if I'm the guy on the ground and I don't know what that is, I don't know if that's hydraulic fluid or if somebody's trying to pour gasoline on the crowd and light a match, I'm going to hold the principal there until we reposition the SUV at a different place where we can get that guy off of there, right? So all this criticism we're getting is it's not really fair to those agents that were around President Trump, former President Trump. And Randy, we're going to go into some videos here. We're going to show you what actually happens to experienced law enforcement and maybe some military. I don't know which videos he put in there.
Yeah.
But I've seen it, and you've been through it several times.
Oh yeah.
And
hey guys, look here, guys. This here is super important. This training that Randy has got here, and the reason is because we cast judgment on all these videos that we see on the internet and on television about people dumping an entire mag, a police officer shooting somebody 15 times. They're like, oh, that guy is an idiot. He's a murderer, whoever it may be. When you are put into that stress situation, when everything around you becomes tunnel vision and this is all that you can see, your hearing is not working the way it's supposed to because of all these stressors. This type of training that Randy offers, it helps your mind work through an actual shooting per se before it's an actual shooting. So let's go ahead, Russ. Let's run this video so that people can see.
One more thing before we do.
Yeah.
I just want to credit those officers for really, going through that. That's very stressful. Remember, we haven't had a shooting for 43 years of an actual president or former president, right? But I want to give them credit for actually not doing some stupid things afterwards, like I saw in Baghdad or I saw in Afghanistan, where, for example, Zach said, hey, I was sitting there taking pictures. Well, if I'm on the executive team and somebody's taking pictures and I got my pistol out and I see hands coming towards me, I'm going to perceive that as a threat and send rounds back into that crowd. Or those tactical officers standing up there and everybody's saying, well, he was muzzle covering all the entire crowd. Yeah, of course he was, but he did a good job compared to some of the things we saw in Baghdad. Like, I'm not going to throw any names out there, but a former contracting agency killed a bunch of civilians just off of some loud noises. So anyway, I'll get back to Randy.
Yeah, let's get into this video, guys. And guys, I've been there 14 times. I'm going to tell you, it's
Zach, please, just drop the gun. Let's talk about this. Zach, just drop the gun.
You don't have any cover. No cover.
Oh, no cover.
So what has happened here when these guys come in to face reality? They're facing somebody that usually has a shotgun, could have a rifle or a knife or a cell phone, and they're having to deal with really aggressive behavior. And then once that action starts, that survival brain kicks in, and that's why we're seeing these behaviors. Next.
Hey, fuck you. That's it.
We should have. There we go. So again, in battle, the logical brain is not working, guys. That survival brain will kick in, and your body, survival brain will make your body do things that you never would have thought that you would actually do in actual combat. Next.
We just need to calm down.
So his body.
What are you doing? Zach! You goddamn bastard! You killed Zach! I'm gonna pull you.
His brain made his body wiggle just like it had been hit with a shotgun. Now, this person here is actually in the judicial side of us, and they're the ones who help judge and decide whether we go to prison or not. So let's watch her in action.
Hands up!
Kiss my motherfucking ass. You're gonna fucking die, I told you.
So again, that fear overrode logic. And then we have some that because the logical brain's not working, that survival brain's working, then we lose our fine motor skills, and even our gun becomes our enemy. So let's watch this one.
Hey, what's going on? Guys, get over, guys! Zach, stop! Zach, stop! Don't move! Stay there! Zach, don't move!
Come on. Fucking dumb bitch.
So again,
We're
things
not going
happen.
to do that, okay?
All right, go ahead, continue.
Step away from the shotgun, okay?
Look, all I want you to do is fucking keep him covered. Keep him covered.
Didn't know what to do.
Now,
Now,
rack. Tell him rack. Rack it. Fix it.
I can't.
Eject the magazine. Eject the magazine. Work that gun.
so again, that shock of this stuff is pretty hard. All right, let's watch the next one.
Had it now. God told me to kill you, motherfucker.
So natural response to go to the ground, and let's watch the last.
You got
Go ahead and play it. Go ahead and play it.
What are you guys doing? Where's the kids? Kill him, Dad! Kill him! Kill the bastard! Kill him!
So again, that should be it. All of this stuff is really complicated. It's complicated. So, logically thinking, we look at the TV and we're watching all the actions and we're trying with their logical brain think, why would somebody do that? We provide the truth. So we put people in different situations and let them understand what it's really like so that we can educate not only the media, the law enforcement, the public, the government on what really happens in daily conflict and how we can better prepare our citizens how to survive, as well as the people who protect us. Over.
The best one I see is actually bringing prosecutors and juries in to recreate a scenario where somebody's defended themselves, and everybody likes to be the Monday morning quarterback and say, well, I wouldn't have done that in that situation. And Troy's Gate proves them wrong every time. You don't know what you're going to do until you actually face the situation. Again, it's neuropsychology, not what you learned on the flat range, whether it's tactical rifleman, Army training, or the police academy. You're not going to react that way until you've actually been put in that situation.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for coming on here. And of course, both good friends of mine, and you guys are just a wealth of knowledge. The stuff that Randy does out here, guys, you can get a group together and go see Randy and do this for yourself. And I challenge you all to do this. I think if you carry a firearm, if you are a permit holder and you carry your firearm, you should have to go to this training facility. The reason is people get a firearm. Oh, it's my constitutional right to own a weapon and blah, blah, blah. And that is correct. It is your constitutional right, guys, to own a firearm. However, it also comes with the stipulation that you do not get yourself or some innocent person killed due to the lack of your training and capabilities. If worse comes to worse and you have to use that weapon. So guys, get with Randy, troysgate.com. Is that correct, Randy?
Yes.
And then to contact you, how can they contact you, Randy?
Just go to the website. There's a contact page. Just shoot me an email.
There's contact there. Yeah. And guys, it's next level. I've been there. Every time I go, I find something else out about myself that it's never ending. You should do this continuously. But I challenge you guys, if you think what you see in these videos, oh, that wouldn't be me, I promise you it probably will be you. All right. And these videos that you just showed backs that up.
And just a shameless plug for Tactical Rifleman. Go to tacticalrifleman.com. Check out the events tab, and we do a lot of flat range, a lot of long distance shooting and things like that. I'm just one of the guest instructors, Carl Erickson from 5th Group. He runs the whole program. Great training, but if you want the realistic, we'll get you to that point to where you're ready to go to Troy's Gate and test your neuropsychology up against a reflective target and some very good role players that will actually piss you off or scare you to death.
Over.
Absolutely. Let's see here. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We are going to, I'm going to give a plug to our good friend Pete Robert Tucci of the Eden Army. He has a live as well on Kicks. Pete has a class that he will be doing right after. Let me find it here because now I'm pushing buttons. There we go. I found him now. Right after Fallout, Mountain Readiness. And guys, for all the people that are watching here that's never heard of Mountain Readiness, my wife and I started over a year ago. Mountain Readiness, which is a gathering we have a couple times a year here in Harmony, North Carolina. And it focuses on all aspects of self-reliance and preparedness. So we are about bringing people together of like mind. I don't care what your background is per se. We don't care a lot of the views. It's about getting back to our roots that our ancestors were at, which is being able to take care of yourself, right? Self-reliance. There's nothing wrong with being able to take care of yourself instead of relying on other people to take care of us. You know, our forefathers were very well-rounded individuals. They hunt, they fish, they took care of their protection of their homestead. They raised their gardens. They home birth children. This is the stuff for promote Mountain Readiness. We have everyone from Daniel Salatin, Mike Dixon, the Fit Farmer, the entire Tactical Rifleman crew, Randy Martin. We have bushcrafters. We have homesteaders, and we put on this event to so you can go and get hands-on training in the realm of self-reliance and all these aspects of survival and preparedness. So Pete is part of that. Pete, of course, is a accomplished writer, and he will have a class right after Mountain Readiness, which is this year is going to be, this fall is October the 18th through the 20th, and the 21st and the 22nd will be at Troy's Gate with Randy. So Russ, I guess I'm going to push, I'm going to hit this with Pete for this plug. He's got 5 spaces left if you would like to be a part of this training opportunity. And which it's Monday is going to be on the flat range, and then Tuesday we'll be running through the scenarios there at Troy's Gate. But Russ, if you want to get us all prepped up once I hit play to do the whole Hollywood Squares Brady Bunch thing with people and faces all over the screen. And if everybody, guys, we have 10 people on that'll be on this screen. If you have something to say, throw your hand up and we'll just kind of go in order so we're not talking over the top of each other. And then we can start cycling through the comments as well. So here we go, and action. All right. And look at this, man. It's packed full house up here. I'm going to let Russ do his magic before we start talking and taking questions. Let's get everybody up here on the screen first. I think that's everybody now. All right. Well, my co-host Joe Tedeye, which is right next to me. We're gonna let Joe throw a little something out there. Joe, of course, has 20 years in special operations military. He was part of Ground Branch which of course Ground Branch is tier 1 stuff, guys. He's seen it, done it. And, 90% of those brought in to even try out for Ground Branch don't even make the cut. So, Joe, man, throw us something on what we saw of this whole unfolding, the things you've heard tonight, your perspective on all this from the tactical side of things.
Oh, no.
Joe, are
you muted, Joe?
Are you muted? Yeah, we can't hear you, Joe. There you are. We got you now, brother. Yes.
Yeah, I got a really bad signal. It's storming back there. Anyway, I'll be very short and sweet. Two things. What the guy from Troy's Gate said is 100% true. Look, we consider an armchair quarterback this thing to death. We weren't there, okay? Here's what concerns me is that somebody was able in broad daylight to climb a freaking building, get on a roof of a building 100 and some yards away from a presidential candidate. That is a major faux pas on the police. That's not a Secret Service. That's the police. The police had the outer perimeter, from what I understand. It wasn't there. I understand a police officer actually climbed up on the roof and saw the guy and fell off. Again, I don't know if that's true or not, but if he fell off, why didn't he saw the guy run? Why didn't he get back up and engage him? You know what I mean? And then the other thing about Troy's Gate, I will tell you, I've had a little bit of experience in combat, scary thing being shot at and shooting at people. But I will tell you, it was a very humbling experience. But what's really cool about Randy and his staff there is they make you think about it. After you go through the scenario, they're like, what did you see? What did you hear? Why did you shoot? And it makes you think about what actually engaged you to, pull your gun out and shoot. But very humbling experience. And it's something that I thought I would have done a lot better at because of my experience. But, the old saying, a sword rusts when you don't use it. But as far as this whole thing with President Trump, my last comment is, sadly, I don't think it's over. I even told you, Bob, 6 months ago, somebody's going to try to kill him before he gets, and there you go. Thank God the guy was a shitty shooter. The Secret Service guy made a great shot right behind the ear. I mean, and that's instant turn the light off. But, I pray for the guy because he's a high-value target, and I just don't think it's over. That's my personal, and that's all I'll say.
I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. And you did 6 months ago. We talked about this. You brought this up. And to be completely honest, guys, I don't think it's I wouldn't be surprised if we see another attempt. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that there's a lot of people that hate him. There's a lot of people that want him dead badly. We've seen that in the comments just of social media after the attempt on him. I mean, it was just flooded with people that were devastated that he didn't get hit in the head. So, Russ, do you want to go ahead and let's throw some comments up here, and we'll start bouncing these across the panel here. Let people, let all these guys. Is any of you guys have anything that you want to throw in here now?
I got one thing. I want to approach it from an entirely different angle. It's going to sound a little weird because not the tactical side or none of that, because you guys are all better at that stuff than I am. Michelle, I have a question for you. When you guys were staging medical for an event this size, you said you had 251 people you had to take out of that crowd, and you put IVs on a lot of them. Did you guys have enough of those wet goods and stuff like that, and the sets and the equipment to treat that many people on that scene?
Absolutely. They were so well. We were so, as far as supplies, that was never an issue. Never an issue.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious because it's something for folks to think about going to an event this large. And the other thing that I want to point out, that again, this is kind of away from the event, but it's directly pointed at this event, is we have to be reminded at the number of people that after this shooting bemoaned the fact that the shot missed. and that these people are telling you that that political violence is an acceptable means to them. And people really need to wrap their heads around that. I mean, think about all the comments that are made about, oh, he should have shot better. Oh, these things that he should have been killed. How many people you have seen say that and understand that these are actual steps in civil wars and conflict. This is how they start with division and the hate. And I just wanted to point that out. I was curious about the medical side with them staging for an event this size and this many people, but being shorthanded and as you were, I was just curious if material support was in place. But
yeah,
go ahead.
The county EMS system just did a fantastic job of getting all the resources there and throughout the day getting more people there. So I can tell you for sure that it was a challenge to start the day, but as more help arrived, it really started to lighten the load because we were really starting to get worn down,
Did you guys see any of the crowd participants attempting to render aid to any of either the heat victims or the shooting victims?
As a matter of fact, here's a funny thing, and I think he was interviewed on one of the news channels. We were down by the stage, and there was a gentleman standing there, and he said he was just retired from being an ER doctor. And he was telling me how much he loved, medics, EMS, and he was trying to help, but in some ways he was getting in the way a little bit. He goes, I guess I'm getting in the way. I'll leave you guys. And I said, no, thank you very much. We appreciate it. But I do believe that he tried to assist with Corey's injuries. He was close to that situation. So I do believe he tried to assist there. And if you guys don't mind, Joe, I want to follow up on something you said about the officers that encountered him on the roof. Through my job, I personally work with those officers on a daily basis. I know the ones that were there, and I have talked to them, not directly to them, but to their sergeant. One of the things that people don't realize is when he was boosted up there, he was holding on with both hands. And the gunman turned and pointed the weapon at him. And at that point, to defend his own life, the only choice he had was to let go of the roof. He fell about 8 feet, suffered an ankle injury. But at that point, from what we understand, the gunman was startled. He knew he'd been seen, and he turned and just started shooting. So the theory is that since his shot was rushed, that also contributed to the miss. So those officers, their sergeant actually came to check on me the other day because he knew I was there. And they're all having a very hard time with this, but where he stands firm is his guys were heroes. His guys did their jobs, and they did them the way they were supposed to. So I want to speak up and defend them as well, because I know these gentlemen and I know what kind of law enforcement officers they are.
Awesome. All right. That answers what I was looking for, T. So, I was just curious about a couple of things there. And again, just remind people that we're watching the temperature and political violence increase. Just folks, keep that in mind. I can't say it enough. Mm-hmm. I would be getting rid of target indicators, stickers, things like that on your vehicles, because it will expand.
Absolutely. No, I thank you again, Michelle. Thank you for all that. I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole. I'm really not, but they were boosting him up there to look up on the roof. How did that dude even get up there? Does anybody have any insight on that? I see Seaux with his hand up.
He carried a ladder.
Yeah, he did have a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Seaux, what you got there, sir? You're muted.
You're muted, Seaux.
Yeah, you're still muted, Seaux.
Unmute yourself, Seaux.
Unmute yourself.
You're
muted. You're good now.
I'm good.
Yep.
You're good.
Chris, do I have to get rid of my Angry American sticker on the back of my windshield there?
No, I'm adding them to my Hummer tomorrow morning because it's finally registered in the state of Florida. So stickers are going on the Hummer tomorrow.
I don't know how many of you watched the congressional hearing with Kimberly Cheadle today, the director of the Secret Service, but that has to be one of the most arrogant directors I've ever seen in my life. I think across the board, whether it's the director of the Secret Service or the FBI or the DOJ or Department of Homeland Security, I think these people have forgotten who they work for, and they don't serve the American taxpayer anymore. I've heard rumors. I was not confirmed today because Cheadle did not answer a question. She avoided any direct answers at all. But I've heard that the crime scene, especially the blood, the DNA, and everything on the roof where Crooks was shot, has actually been steam cleaned off and cleaned. And I can't imagine doing that to any crime scene at all that quickly. So I don't think we're going to get a direct answer from the Federal Bureau of Investigations for weeks or months to come, if we get one at all. Because remember, we had a mass shooting like this, even though some of the Democratic congressmen wanted to bring up AR-15s. We had one of those in Vegas a few years ago where 58 people were killed, and the FBI never gave us a motive or how this person got 38 rifles up into a hotel room in the middle of downtown Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
That's my comment.
No, and I will add to that with that hearing with Cheeto. I have never personally seen someone sidestep the answer to a question more in my entire life. Like, she literally answered 0 questions that I watched there. I mean, none. It was mind blowing.
They come in with canned statements, and that's all they'll say. It's their canned statements that have been approved by their superiors, and that's all they will say. And I can't imagine why the Congress members and the Senate members that interrogate these people, they're questioning them, why they accept that as calmly as they do. If I was in their position, I wouldn't accept that. I'd be like, that is not an answer, and you will answer. If you're here under oath in front of Congress, you should have to answer those questions and not sidestep them. And if you refuse to, then that's contempt, because you're under oath. You're a federal employee. You should have to answer the questions asked to you, not your canned, prepared statements that you want to keep getting over and over. It's infuriating.
She did so poorly that AOC told her that it was unacceptable. We're talking.
I missed that part. Wow, that's bad.
Bartender from Brooklyn, New York, told her that it was unacceptable. I mean, she's the worst congresswoman I've ever seen in my life, and she even said that Director Cheadle's answers were unacceptable. So I can't believe that she got away with that.
What about you, Brian Duff? You've got an extensive background in security and military, and I mean, you've done a lot. What's your take on all this? Give us what you've got on your side of the story.
Well, I think we're right with that they need more realistic training. That officer, I know everybody was eating up that one Secret Service female there because she couldn't reholster a weapon, and like the guys from Troy's Gate say, that was a total adrenaline dump. So that goes back to my thought on it all, is that at a minimum, this shows that the U.S. Secret Service does terrible training. Right? They're not prepping their people because of the fact that it goes so long, hopefully, between assassination attempts, that they have to inject adrenaline into that somehow, right? They have to figure out a way to get them into that mindset so that way they get closer to being able to respond more correctly when things happen. I also think that, why they were heroic. I mean, they threw a body bunker on Trump really quick. That was awesome how they did that. There were so many critical failures in that for whatever reason. I differ with Sue. I think they should have gotten him off the stage, but like you said, I wasn't there either. But it shows that they really need, from the director on down, to look at the Secret Service needs to look at what they do, because they're a self-looking ice cream cone. Whenever they show up anywhere, they're the people that everybody listens to. This is how we're securing this venue. This is what we're going to do. And so they're they should be the premier at that. And I think they grow, like we talked about, they talked about in the hearing, they grossly failed at their job. Hopefully they learn from it and drive on. But I think it's through training, like with guys at Troy's Gate and what you guys are doing there, that really needs to happen across a lot of the agencies out there. Like you showed in your videos, that was cops, going through their stroke. And I think it's important to get people in there so that they're ready for this stuff, because it could have, had there been a second shooter, if there wasn't, the water tower and all that, or it was a complex attack with follow-ons or something like that, that would have been disastrous. And I think it comes back to the point too, when you look at how disastrous we were, within probably a half an inch of our country erupting in some sort of civil conflict.
Absolutely. And guys, just so you know, I think Joe had to drop out. He's got a call that he has to be on at here in the next 5 minutes. So Randy, what you got, brother?
Brian, and for everybody, the Secret Service, I do have a contract with the Secret Service. They have acquired our system. We're just now breaking ground up there to build our system for the Secret Service. So they have purchased our system, just to make you aware of it. So they will be going through some very intense training when we're complete, maybe in November or December this year, when that will start.
Right after
much
the
needed. Much needed.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Mr. Brian Loftus? What is your take on all this? I know you're chilling back there. This is a little bit out of your element of the gear world, but I'm sure you've got something you'd like to add to this mix.
I wouldn't say much. I think most of it's been covered already. I did watch that hearing today where Cheetah she just avoided answering all questions, and the thing was, I know 2 of the questions at least. She admitted, yes, I do know the answer. The FBI had told me, but she refused to answer it. But if anybody's watched more than just that hearing, any hearing of that type, when does anybody ever answer a question directly? They never do. As they say in government, it's pretty hard to get fired as long as you don't do anything. If you do something and you really screw up, you say the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, you're going to get fired. But as long as you do nothing, you're good. You're employed. That's the stance that I think most of them take. I think it's absolutely unacceptable. Who was it? I don't know if it was you, Randy, or you, Sue. I think it was one of you 2 guys a few minutes ago said, you work for the American people. You are a federal employee. You work for the people of this country, the citizens of this country. You damn sure should answer a question when it's asked, especially when you know the answer, and we know that you know the answer.
Yeah. I said it better myself, brother. I was watching that thing, and it was just what's the word? Repulsive. That's as good as it gets. It was repulsive, to say the least, to listen to this woman sidestep everything that was thrown her way, and I get it. Yeah, you nailed it. Guys, we're an hour and a half almost into this. Russ, did we have any questions that were pertaining to any of the of our people on the screen now? Look here. So, Zach, I was there and I questioned, why did we not run? No stampede. It was crazy. So, Zach, I agree with that, man. All those people, and you had people just running up to help, not running out.
So I think the first instinct for a lot of people was that shooter was dead. And I think a lot of people wanted to know if President Trump was dead or not, because they had him on the ground for some period of time. We didn't know if he was actually hit or not. So I think that was people's first want to know. So.
Now, for sure. Let's see here. Since you were so close, did the Secret Service ask for any pictures you might have taken there? I'm guessing for the 3 of you, that would pertain to all 3 of you guys. Did Secret Service get photos and stuff from you guys?
No, but during the FBI interviews, they gave us all a link to send them any pictures that we had taken, more like a tip line, for analysis. Things
Gotcha.
that they might have seen in the background. So they are asking anybody if they have any pictures, if they could send them. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the Secret Service isn't talking to anybody.
It appears.
Yeah, this is everybody we've talked to, and other people we've talked to. It's either been Homeland Security or the FBI. Absolutely. But Secret Service isn't talking to anybody. They're not real popular around here right now. To be honest with you. And listen, I don't mean to put them down. I understand the adrenaline rush, and I understand the fight or flights that we all get into when we're in a situation. What the people in this area are more upset about was the obvious lack of security measures. Not so much about keeping him down on the stage. I know they were trying to make sure the shooter was clear. If you listen to the audio, you can hear them say, "Shooter down, shooter down." You can hear Trump asking for his guys, "Let me get my shoes."
Right.
Different things like that. So that we all get. And one of the reasons why nobody stampeded is because everybody was waiting to see if he was okay. And then when he stood up and put his fist in the air and said, "Fight," that crowd went crazy. They were just cheering. And that's why you didn't see a stampede. People wanted to see if he was okay. But the Secret Service isn't real popular here in Butler right now.
With good reason.
Yeah.
So Fox just reported a Secret Service agent was supposed to be on that roof. Take that for what it is worth. And I heard with Cheeto today, she was asked that question directly, I think 85 times, and the answer was no answer. Not a single one. Not a single one. So yeah, and Fox said it, but I can tell you who didn't say it. She didn't. Cheeto did not say it one single time. So there's that as well.
And on that rooftop, man, I know everybody's making a big deal about it, and it's a ginormous deal, right? Because I got 500, 600, 700. I don't know how many missions I have doing this stuff overseas and everything, diplomatic protection. And that rooftop is diplomatic protection 101, right? You don't miss that. That's such a low-hanging fruit of the most junior, agent gets that, right? They do that on their advance. So if there was someone supposed to be on it, then the question, why weren't they there? Because it would make sense that they wouldn't miss that. So then what happened? And even if they could take local law enforcement, because it sounds like everything local law enforcement did, they did a great job with what the guidance they had from the Secret Service and what they were doing with the Secret Service. So, why didn't the Secret Service ask law enforcement, "Hey, you take that rooftop"?
Well, except for having a fence between QRF and the event, they and apparently nobody could scale it. Apparently, but you saw them all rushing in, and they're blocked by a damn fence. That's who screwed that. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
So I have a quick question for you, Brian. Just about since you've run so many of these ops, you said several hundred there. What's your take on the fact, from what we're hearing, what I've heard anyhow? What's your take on the idea that the Secret Service do not have direct comms with the local police force there? Do you see that as a breakdown in the line of communications, and why wouldn't they?
Well, it's a huge breakdown, right? And I'm sure Michele can speak to it. You have common frequencies that you can talk interagency and everything. So when they do the advanced team, when the advanced team comes out, they're going to start looking at what do we have to do for communications. That's another one of those things that doesn't go unchecked, right? They know they have to have comms with local law enforcement. Why that broke down there, I don't have any idea. But that should not have been a problem. Like, again, it's just such a basic level thing that needs to happen, and who knows how that detail was staffed, because you look at it, I think the kind of the shorter blonde woman, I think she did an incredible job for what she's capable of. Like, she was one pushing him like, "Hey, let's get this thing going." Like, she was really doing a great job. But because of the height difference, there was no coverage on Trump on part of that diamond, right? Where his head was exposed. So I think it all goes into those questions of why were there so many failures? Because it's not like, I don't see the Secret Service rolling in somewhere and doing this just necessarily off the top of their head. It's like the military. You have a 5-paragraph operations order. They have the same thing. They have, this is how we do it. This is everything we meet. So my question comes into why so many catastrophic failures?
Yeah, I'll back Brian up on that. I mean, I've done this several times in the past, not so recently. I mean, mine were clear back in the 90s when the Clinton administration was in there, and then just shortly after George W. Bush took over, the ones that I participated in. But he's exactly right. This is like a military operations order. That site survey comes out of the Pittsburgh office, and that advanced team is supposed to have all that covered. And from what I got from the briefing with Cheadle today, is there was a breakdown from that to like, Zach and Michael and Michele telling us about the lack of security there. And they've been to other events, and everything just seems so rushed and so mundane. You get into this routine and you get so complacent that you just leave everything wide open. What I didn't see, and what really kind of upset me during the briefing to Congress today, was the tactical teams didn't rehearse or even get briefed of what would happen if there were shots fired. So just the lack of reaction time, not from the personal detail. I'm talking about from all the uniformed officers around there. Mm-hmm. That was, to me, very slow in coming. And I don't know if anybody saw the video of the actual police officers trapped inside the compound, where they had to actually use a state police car to break the gate and go through that to get to the building that was only 130 yards away. So that tells me, just like Brian was saying, during an operations order, you have some time to rehearse all this stuff. You take the time. The advanced team should have scheduled in a timeline. Okay, here's how we're going to brief every one of the teams that are working in coordination with each other, do a comms check, and maybe even just, if you don't do a full-blown rehearsal, just a walkthrough, a tape drill, as we call it. And I don't think that ever happened in Butler, Pennsylvania.
I want to throw something in there as well. Is at that they actually asked Cheeto as well about the drone, and Michele, Michael, and Zach. Did you guys see any drone? Because I've heard that the shooter had run a drone, but is that no one saw a drone whatsoever? I was just curious about that, because they were saying the shooter actually run one over the facility.
But yeah, he ran his earlier. It was before the event. Once it was set up, he was getting an aerial recon before anybody was there.
Yeah.
He was doing the job correctly then.
So, right. Interesting point that I want to bring up. So, while I was with the gentleman's family, a female agent, a Secret Service agent, had come up to me, kind of wanting to see what the situation was there with her. I was with her for about a half hour. And while I was with her, she turned to another agent, and the exact words out of her mouth were, "They assured me this was a secure location."
Wow.
So who are they, and why did you take their word for it? Was my first thought that came out of my head. They assured me this was a secure location. And that just blew me away when she said that.
I think that's the number one question. That's the number one question, Michele. That we know that he was a person of Crooks was a suspicious person for 50 minutes to an hour before the first shots rang out, and then he became from a suspicious person to a possible threat when the local law enforcement officers were trying to get up on that roof. Why did the communication? That's the communication breakdown. Why did the team allow Trump to take the stage, knowing there was a threat on that roof 130 meters away? That part just blows my mind. I mean, one I actually participated in was the Winter Olympics of '94, and I was a mile away skiing around Olympic events, just looking for tracks coming in, and that would have kept dignitaries away from that event if we would have caught any tracks of people going into that event where they weren't supposed to be. So that's a mile away. Of course, that's almost 30 years ago. Maybe things have changed, but I would never bring a principal on a location when there's a known threat out there. I've never left a secure area.
It's definitely changed, but for the worse, it appears. So, guys, it's we've been into it pretty hard. Let's run through the whole panel here, and everybody leave their closing statements, and we'll wrap it up. It's been a great show, very informative, a lot of information that I did not know. Chris, what you want to wrap us up with, brother?
Like I was saying earlier, folks, head on a swivel, eyes up right now. The country's weird. Strange things. There's strange things happening in Delaware. I mean, we didn't even get into those because that's not what we're talking about tonight. But there's some weirdness happening in Delaware right now. It's concerning. But, situational awareness, guys, right now, it is a paramount concern, as 3 people on this screen right here can attest to. You never know when it's going to happen. So if you stay ready, you'll have to get ready.
Great way of putting it. Stay ready. You don't have to get ready. That is awesome. See, Butler folks, come to the next Mountain Readiness event. Yes, open invitation to you guys. You can hitch a ride with Brian with Survival Gear BSO. Yeah, you got an extra seat, don't you? Yeah, Brian will be there. Hopefully, Brian Duff will be able to come out there. We're shooting for it. Of course, all these other gentlemen and will also be there teaching classes and Randy and Sue. We're going to be doing a lot of classes. They'll be doing a lot of classes. It'll be a great time. But all 3 of you guys, it's an open invitation. You don't have to pay for nothing. Just come, be a part of the event, and hang out. Just our way of saying we appreciate you. So, Michael, do you have anything you'd like to say before we wrap it up, man?
Keep God close. He's a big reason why we're still alive. Trump's still alive. And check on your neighbor. As Zach said earlier, the Butler community is having a tough time right now. This past week, I know a couple of people that went to Corey's viewing in nearby Freeport and Sarver, PA. So just the whole general area, there's deep and heavy hearts. So check on your neighbor, keep God close, and I know you said you might not want to display any more patriotic stuff on your cars or anything, but I'm going to be displaying this everywhere I go. I'm going to be, I'm more patriotic than ever, and I hope everybody else is.
Somebody's got to do it. And good for you. Michele, do you have anything in the flag in the background there? Tell us a little something about that before you close out.
So this is the flag that was flying over the building where Corey's calling hours were. They had to move it to a large banquet facility because the funeral home couldn't handle it. And I do believe, and Zach, maybe you can confirm this was the flag that was flown over the rally.
Correct.
Yes, it was the same flag that was flown over the rally. So
awesome.
Yeah, they've done a lot. There was a GoFundMe that raised $6.5 million for the families, and another individual one I think raised over $2 million. So, but in closing, I just want to say that to all my brothers and sisters in the EMS community, fire, EMS, they did a fantastic job. The day could have been way worse without them. And I know that, as Michael said, this has been hard on the Butler community. We've all had our share of PTS, and we are all, for lack of a better term, trauma bonded here probably for the rest of our lives. And I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. And we could, like we said again, Michele, thank you for what you did there. It's amazing. All you guys for coming on here, telling your stories. I know there's a lot of pressure from social media that goes against if you're for Trump, and putting yourself out there like this, it's greatly appreciated. Mr. Loftus, you want to end anything with us here before we wrap it up, brother?
Well, obviously, thanks to Michael, Michele, and Zach for agreeing to come on tonight. It's a really great show. Really excited about this. Happy to have you guys. Eyewitness accounts. It's been a couple of years since I've seen Zach. I was at one of his meetings up there in Butler County about 2 years ago. Michael was there with me. So thanks so much for coming on. And to back up what Michael said, keep God close. And Michael actually brought this up, and I didn't realize that. Right now, it is Nine Line Apparel. I got a bunch of their stuff. And right now they're doing a T-shirt for Corey in honor of Corey, and all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds are going to his family. And it touches on Ephesians 6:11. putting on the armor of God. Put on the armor of God so that you may be able to stand firm against the tactics of the devil. And Michael said, take a look at the timeline. When Trump was shot in the ear and that bullet went past him, there's a series of bullets, and hit Corey, that was at 6:11 p.m. Ephesians 6:11 at 6:11 p.m. I never even picked up on that. Michael, you're extremely observant, as always. I just thought that was really awesome. So, if people say, oh, God wasn't at play here, that was just luck. No, he was at play. He absolutely was. So that's what I'll end with. Chris, always, stay prepared. If you stay prepared, you don't need to get prepared. I love it. I'm not going to run on any longer, but you know where to find the good gear.
Awesome. And you are correct. You are correct, Randy and Mr. Seaux. You guys, what do you want to close us out with?
Go ahead, Sue, and I'll close it.
I just wanted to one more thing that we didn't get to talk about tonight about Troy's Gate, and it's helped out a lot of my buddies. We've had a lot of suicides, since the war on terror ended, and the abominable way we pulled out of Afghanistan. A lot of people feel guilty. So what Randy does is for these people who can't handle losing some of their buddies or something, sometimes we bring these guys over, recreate the scene, and let them deal with their emotions by recreating it instead of having them as ghosts in their nightmares. So Troy's Gate does work well for that. So and Michele mentioned it, Zach, Michael, Michele, you've all been through something that is very traumatic, and I hope that if you ever get the chance to just let it off your chest, come to Troy's Gate, recreate it, be part of it, and it helps you. And I'm not a psychologist by any means, but allows you your emotions to heal if you can recreate it and go through it, and it just face the reality of what happened to you in the past. It's worked for my veteran friends, and I'm sure it can work for civilians and law enforcement too. So that's my plug.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue. And my closing statement: we got people everywhere, and I'm one of those people. I don't want to hurt anybody, and I want to do what's right like everybody else. But the fact is, sometimes we just have to kill them. When it comes to using deadly force, we can turn and we can hide. We can bury our heads in the sand, and we can pretend it don't happen. And that doesn't solve anything. So I would recommend getting ready for it. Pray it don't happen. Hope it don't happen. But if it happens, you know how to deal with it. That's it. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy. Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. Zach, do you have anything for us that you want to roll us out with?
I just want to thank everybody for jumping on here and inviting us, all three of us, onto this call. It's been awesome. It's definitely different seeing everybody's point of view on this entire situation. And it just, please keep our Butler community in your thoughts and prayers, because like Michele said as well, some of the local law enforcement here are struggling a lot, and a lot of friends of mine are struggling, and we just need God on our side, and we know He's with us. So that's what we're asking for.
Awesome. Mr. Mind for Survival, Mr. Brian Duff.
Thanks,
Last
team.
but definitely not least.
No, it's been a great time on here, man. I really appreciate the three of you, your stories, and sharing that with us. That's amazing. I feel terrible that that Butler's going through it. I spent a lot of years trying to not eat a gun and crawled out of a PTSD hole for about the last, from 2017 through about a year ago. So if any of you ever want to talk or about something, you want somebody to listen, I can tell you I'm able to relay pretty well what my journey was like and what helped me get through a lot of it. And PTSD is a system in the head, man. It's a process. And a lot of people act like it's this thing that just floats around. It's not. You all went through something tragic. Your mind deals with it, and everybody deals with it in a certain way. So if you ever want to talk or anything like that, reach out to me at my email, brian@mind4survival.com. I probably have 3 to 5, sometimes 10 hours a month that I sit on the phone with people and talk. So it's kind of my passion.
Awesome. That is an amazing thing, guys. Everyone out there that's still watching, we had a great great live stream, and a lot of people out there. To close this out, we're not preaching doom and gloom here, guys. We aren't. This is not our objective. Is to scare everybody. All right, but at the end of the day, preparedness needs to be a part of each and every one of our lives. All right, and being well-rounded in your preparedness. We can't just leave things up to fate. We can't. I've always been a hope for the best and prepare for the worst type of person, and that's what we all need to get back to. The Michele and her medical team and everything going on right there, they were short-staffed, but they were prepared, and they got the job done because of being prepared. And we all need to be doing the same thing in our daily lives, because we all you see these shootings, you see these things happen, this bad stuff. A lot of times you don't get the opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to draw and I'm going to do this. No, we've proved this with Troy's Gate. When you go out and train there, things happen so quick, things happen so fast that reaction time, a lot of times you don't have time to react. And that's what Michele and Michael and Zach experienced right here. When this thing happened, they had no clue at first. It was just, what was that? What was this around me? And unfortunately, someone died in the process of this. Never saw it coming. So all I can say is, guys, is prepare. I think we are unfortunately looking for some hard times ahead. All right, and it's going to be up to us to make sure that we can weather that storm that's coming quickly. So everybody, tune in Mondays to see us. Mountain Readiness Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, Chris Weatherman, Angry American, on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays. All those. He's got tons of them. I'm just plugging everybody down the list here. Of course, Survival Gear BSO. You can get on mountainreadiness.com. They're on there with us as well. Randy Martin, Stu Larreau, Tactical Rifleman, Troy's Gate, and then, of course, Brian with Mind for Survival. He's on all the platforms and all that kind of stuff. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to doing it again. And the saying I always love of Mountain Readiness, everybody move with purpose. Make sure you have some purpose with what you do. Next Monday, we'll see you guys then.
Thanks, T.
Thanks,
guys.
Thanks, brother.